this morning. Thank you so much. This is a really cool series called the Business Toolkit. We started this last year during COVID, and it used to be called the Business Survival Toolkit, but we've renamed it to Business Toolkit. You know, a lot of companies are still trying to survive, but you know what? We want to be more positive. So we are calling it Business Toolkit, and we are so excited that Ray Meister, president of Security National Bank, is our exclusive sponsor of this series. It's been very, very popular. And I don't know if you guys know this, but today is International Puppy Day. So if a puppy pops up on my screen, that is because it's International Puppy Day. Literally, that is a true statement. So we're so excited that you're here today. This will be a very fast-paced event. We have our area experts here that are serial entrepreneurs, been there, done that, and they are so excited to impart their words of wisdom to our incredible attendees today. We are recording this, so if you miss something, if you have to go and get a cup of coffee, we will be recording, so you can always check it out on YouTube. And do become a YouTube follower. We are getting a lot of new followers, so we really appreciate that. So I'm excited that Kelly Sharp, Tej Dhawan, Hank Norem, and Jeff Reed are here this morning, and this is going to be a blast. So Bailey First is running our Zoom event today. Bailey. And I'm excited to introduce our amazing West Des Moines Chamber team of champions and experts, and they are Anna Dowd, Kara Matheson, Bailey First, and Nicole Langmaid. Nicole is on PTO, so she is one of our PTO spring breakers. So I am excited to turn the Zoom mic over to Anna Dowd, and she is going to introduce Ray Meister. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Catherine, and good morning, everyone. I have the pleasure of getting to introduce our exclusive Business Toolkit sponsor this year, which is Security National Bank. So with us today, we have Ray Meister. So thank you, Ray, and to your team for the support. And with that, I will hand it over to you to say a few words.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Catherine, for this opportunity. Security National Bank is proud to be a sponsor of this Business Toolkit series. We are a fairly new bank in the West Des Moines market, having opened just a year ago last week, as a matter of fact. We have a new facility a couple blocks north of the Lowe's and Dick's Sporting Goods on Jordan Creek Parkway. Actually, we're in the parking lot out in front of the Hobby Lobby, and we have the luxury of saying that we're the only bank in the metro that has a Hobby Lobby in our parking lot. So you'll know where to find us. We would appreciate you stop in and say hi. We are still by appointment only. Hopefully that will change May 1, and we'll be able to open our doors for the walk-in public and get back to what we call normal banking. We are a community bank, about $1 billion in asset size. We have 14 locations, Nebraska, Iowa, and Dallas, Texas. When I say community bank, small business success is one of our key factors. And we're here to help support, promote business growth. And we're anxious to talk to anyone that's excited about expanding their business or needs some financing guidance or counsel related to that. As it relates to that, as you know, we're still in the second round of the PPP loan program. Our bank is actively involved in the PPP loan program. And you may have just recently seen that the application deadline for the PPP loans has been extended now until May 31st. So as you're doing your income taxes and a few things like that, and between you and your accountant, if you feel like you qualify for the second round or the first round, you can still apply for the first round as well. Of the PPP program, please feel free to consider Security National Bank as an opportunity to work with to get those loans processed. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be a sponsor of this program. I've probably outdone my limit, so I will now turn it back over to those that are in charge. If there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ray. You are fabulous. You know, the PPP has really been a lifeline for so many of these businesses. And thanks to you and your team, I know you've worked long, hard hours and have really pulled out all the stops. I remember the stories, you know, last year of you guys just rolling up your sleeves, barely getting any sleep, you know, to make this happen. So thank you for your support of our area businesses, Ray. It's tremendously helpful. And we just can't thank you enough.
You are welcome.
Well, we're going to get our program started, and this is super exciting. Everybody get their pen and notepads ready. If you're thinking of starting a business, if you have a business currently, no matter where you are in that business maturity phase, you're going to hear so many important things today. And studies show that right now, because of the pandemic, more and more people are starting a business. They're thinking about starting a business. There's so many new entrepreneurs out there. So even if you get some knowledge today and maybe you're not starting a business, but you know of a friend that can really take advantage of this information, share this. We want our local businesses to succeed, and that is why we are here. So thank you so much. And I'm excited to turn the virtual stage over to my friend, Tej Dhawan. And Tej is CTO of Principal. And take it away, Tej. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, all. Thank you, Catherine. Thanks to the team. Thanks, Ray, for sponsoring. I'm going to come at this from the world of startups. If you're in the thinking phases of a business idea, these 10 might apply. I hope at least a couple of them do. So the 10 in no particular order. The first one for me starts really in the great sage voice of Yoda. Do or do not. There is no trying. If you're thinking of a business, until you jump in and do it, you're not actually in it. A hobby is not a business. A hobby may be a pathway to business. So go commit fully before you say you are in business or believe it. The second, almost equally important one for me is the role strategy plays. Having a strategy for that business is critical. It doesn't have to be a multi-page volume. It could be a single line that says what you'll do, what game are you in, what are you going to play, what is your strength that you're bringing to that game. But most importantly in that strategy line is what you're not going to do. The no filter is sometimes even more important than the yes filter. That guides throughout the lifetime of the business. And then once established, once created, the most important relationships you can have are between your employees, your customers, and you. Understanding that relationship, why do employees work with you to solve a particular customer problem is critical. Knowing that, being able to articulate that, being able to write that, being able to speak to that is what makes the benefit, the value proposition become real, both in your mind and more importantly in the customers and the employees' mind. So get that relationship right. If you can't say it, if you can't write it, you haven't clarified it. Get it clear. Almost as important as the human relationship is the financial relationship. So getting that money relationship right. For some of you starting a business, knowing the concept of financial statements may come easy. It may be second nature to read a balance sheet and know how it differentiates from a profit and loss statement. But if you don't, and I run into many startup founders who simply think they'll just outsource it. Intricacies of those financial statements are necessary to understand as the business owner. If you don't already know it, spend a little bit of time, whether it's an online course, whether it's an in-person course, whether it's a series of sessions with somebody who understands financials. get those three documents understood well: balance sheet, profit and loss statement, and the most important of all, the statement of cash flows. How cash flows into and out of your business can make or break your business. So those three things are important to understand, even if you're not the day-to-day bookkeeper of your business. Related to financials is the concept of a business model. How do you project the growth of your business? Some of these things can be done on the back of a napkin. Others require simple spreadsheets. Yet others, if you're truly thinking of a long-term business, require the concept of a financial model. This could be a multi-page spreadsheet. Some of these are free to download and use. Some of these will cost you a little bit of money. Mike Caldwell, recently retired from the Greater Des Moines Partnership, created a free one and put it out for the world to use. He calls it Startup Models, and it's at startupmodels.com. But use that financial model to figure out how your business can grow as you do the what if analyses. Those things can be really instrumental when you're stuck in the middle of the night thinking, is this business going to succeed? And you go into your financial model and you check your strategy against it. You say, the problem of the day notwithstanding, I know I can get through this because I've already thought about this. I've dealt with this. I've projected it. Stay the course with strategy. There are lots of resources. I see Adrian Greenwald is one of the participants. If that model needs validation, I know VentureNet and Adrian can help you solidify that model further. And then as the business establishes, spend time, spend energy, spend money where needed to take care of the employees and customers. How? Customer experience and employee experience are simple but very effective tools to grow the business. If you don't already know the true feelings coming from your customers and employees, ask them. Sometimes it may be a survey, other times it might just be a one-on-one coffee, but asking will get you the answers you're looking for. And sometimes those answers will come from employees in the form of they need certain benefits. Benefits don't have to be expensive insurance policies. Benefits can sometimes be flexibility. Benefits can sometimes be a caring, listening ear. But if your employee base's needs are benefits, whether it's health, disability, retirement, life insurance, any of those things, build those benefits into your model early so that you can retain those valuable employees as you grow your business. I think back to my first business here in Iowa, and going looking for health, disability, and life insurance when hiring my first employee. That little meeting with a broker was so valuable because I can still think, even though I'm not in the company anymore, the second, third, and fourth employee I hired with those benefits are still there. That's 26 years later. So the right mix of benefits for employee flexibility can make a lot of difference in how your business persists and grows. Not all of these things will be easily visible to you. So find a mentor, somebody who can speak the truth to you. Friends and family generally do not make good mentors because they know how to lie to you, and you've already relied on them for all kinds of other stuff. Find somebody who can act as a conscience and speak the truth, as uncomfortable as that truth might be. That regular meeting with such a conscience can be worth its weight in gold. But going with mentors is a close parallel. Find mentees. Mentees serve a dual purpose. They keep you humble, they keep you grounded, but more importantly, they themselves can become mentors because in the process of learning from you, they start to teach you. It's a rare mentee relationship for me that has not become equal over time. Many mentee relationships dropped off, but those that have persisted, I consider those mentees mentors today because I lean on them to answer my own questions regularly. Um, I was lost for the last two yesterday afternoon. I could not come up with my number 9 and my number 10. And it just so happened my number 9 became an outcome of a meeting that popped up on my calendar. It was from a student. Um, and this particular student was asking for connection, asking for guidance, and asking for help by leaning in. She wanted to do more than what she was already doing. And if you saw her resume, this was impressive. She didn't need to ask anything. But in that 30-minute meeting, I remembered that most of my productive relationships like this have occurred when the person reached out during their student tenure, connected, and offered to do something in that process of learning. Those that committed and learned so have become lifelong friends. That became my number 9. I had forgotten that the student relationships are so transformative in my life. And my number 10 actually also came from her. So Caitlin Wilden, wherever you are, if you're listening or not, thank you for my number 9 and number 10. Number 10 is give first. Give before you ask for something. She didn't ask for guidance. She offered to help in a particular way. And that give first is how a community grows, how a business grows, how customer and employee relationships grow. So give before you ask. You never know what might come back. With that, thank you for listening. Thank you, Catherine and team, for having me. And now it's my turn to take notes. I'll go mute, and thanks again.
Paige, that's amazing. I feel like that's a new hashtag we could all start. Give first, right? That's amazing. Very powerful.
That hashtag exists. The credit actually goes to Brad Feld out of Boulder, Colorado. He's a venture capitalist, and he's the one who coined the phrase. And you can look it up on Twitter. It's there.
There we go. We are going to do that. That is amazing. And I think that just applies in life in general, right? With everything we do, not only in business, but yeah, it's a really, I love that. We'll look that up. I love how you started, do or do not. A hobby is not a business. You're in it full steam ahead or you're not. So great points. I love this. Find a mentor, a mentee. That's amazing too. Have a strategy, and thank you, VentureNet and your startupmodels.com. So that's a really cool resource. We got to check out startupmodels.com. So thank you so much, Tej. Really, really cool stuff. And Tej is part of our Black and Brown Business Summit, which is April 22 and 23. And he is part of our pitch competition workshop. So the deadline is Friday to apply for the pitch competition. There's no fee to apply. There's $10,000 at stake if you happen to be one of our lucky finalists for the pitch competition. Thanks, Bailey, for putting that link in the chat. And Tej, we're excited that you're part of the Black and Brown Business Summit. That's amazing. Okay, I'm excited to introduce Hank Norem, and Hank is president of Ramco Innovation. So thank you, Hank.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Catherine. Thanks, team. Tej is a tough act to follow. He's one of the founding members of the startup scene around here. So I was definitely taking notes along the way as well, but I'll give it a shot on my end. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. We'll see if this works. You guys let me know if it does. Are we on? All right. I did think I would start with a little bit of a background on Ramco, just to let you know what we do. The company's older than I am. Been around a while. We work with a wide variety of companies, mainly manufacturers across 4 or 5 states. Very high tech focused. Keep our eyes on robotics, sensors, machine safety, and then a term that many of you are familiar with, the industrial Internet of Things, to bring these together in our Industry 4.0 world that we're in here. More recently, we launched at Ramco, we launched Maple Ventures, which is a startup support center. historically on the Ramco side, we worked with very established businesses and sort of shied away from startups just because of the nature of the business. But when we started to get to know startups a little bit better, we realized that very innovative practices, technology were emerging from the startup scene. So we launched Maple Ventures so that we could work more closely with them. And with that, we've been working with a variety of startups over the last 4 years, got to know them very well, helped try to set up essentially a nest egg for them to help grow their business faster and do what they do. We don't run their businesses, we just support them along the way. So with the Ramco experience and the Maple Ventures experience that we have here, I was able to come up with my 10 tips to jumpstart your business. And I'm going to call it maintain. So it's one thing to start the business. It's another thing to maintain it along the way. So I wanted to add that little disclaimer in there. So I'll get started. Many of mine parallel Tej, but I maybe have a little bit different there. First one was right in line with what Tej said. It's really important to ensure that the passion is in line with the concept, because the minute that the passion falls, the motivation and the drive really comes off the rails. And so really be checking that passion stays there. If it's something you're just in for the money, it really dies pretty quickly from a motivation standpoint. So ensure that passion is there. Second one, surround yourself with key advisors. Agree with Tej that family and friends aren't always the best advisors. Make sure that you're setting yourself up with folks that will challenge you, tell you the things that you don't want to hear at times, because those are the pain points that will save you a lot of time, money, and energy down the road. So key advisors are readily available. Many have entered the startup scene and exited. Many have existing businesses that have more of a startup mentality to them. So lots of advisors that are willing to provide that advice along the way for those that need it. Number 3, I'm going to call it the C-suite. Leverage your initial C-suite. Most startups or small businesses or early stage businesses can't afford a formal C-suite, but that can be formed informally. And what I mean by that is your banker can be sort of a CFO for you. They fully understand the balance sheet, the income statement, cash flow statement. They aren't going to have all aspects of the financial piece to it, but certainly can help you. So leverage that relationship with the banker. Your chief risk officer can be that insurance provider that you have. They've seen a lot of pitfalls in businesses along the way. So don't be afraid to ask them questions as you're setting up your roadmap or your strategy for your business. And the third one, legal counsel. It doesn't hurt to have a good attorney even from day one as you're getting your organizational documents set up. And again, most attorneys have seen it all. So make sure you leverage them, and they're happy to help. They want to see your business get rolling as well. So without hiring a C-suite, you can essentially set one up. Next one usually goes without saying, but it is important to be open to feedback. If I've seen one thing through our Maple Ventures groups is the folks that aren't open to feedback, they quickly lose number 2 there. They quickly lose advisors, because if they're not open to that feedback, folks are just less likely to lend a hand, and that support group tends to shrink pretty quickly. So be open to feedback. With that, make sure you stay focused on your concept, because you will receive lots of feedback along the way. And the ones that can really stay on that straight line are the ones that do best. And I've seen folks take the feedback and even jot down notes, because some of the additional feedback are great concepts that they could launch in the future. They just don't necessarily need to attach it to their current concept, or they'll get too distracted. So be open to feedback, but definitely stay focused. Number 5, ensure your partner is on board. This could be your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, BFF, whoever it is, your partner there. Make sure they're on board, because this is a critical component to your success, especially in the early days. And then I say recheck, because a lot of things change over the course of a few months, a few years. So ensure that support is there, and they can be your best advisor, and you can add them to your C-suite if needed. So make sure that partner is on board. Budget and forecast, and then reiterate often. Tej mentioned it, but the folks that can really understand the budgeting, forecasting process, the financial process, really are able to fast track what they're able to do, because it brings confidence into the business. It brings confidence to third parties, your banker, your investors, third parties. If they know that you know how to read financial statements, how to set up a budget, how to forecast appropriately, they're more likely to get engaged quicker and more often with you to help you reiterate. So educate yourself as quickly as possible. Again, there are many resources here available locally that can get you set up. Many templates are floating around there, but study those and then reiterate often. So I've seen some pitfalls when folks put it in concrete and bury it in a folder or in an electronic file and then never look at it again. This is a pretty big pitfall here. All right, ensure quality but avoid perfection in testing here. Not saying don't strive for a perfect product, but in the testing process, if you look to achieve perfection just in testing alone, it'll never get launched. And that's in startup or really any stage. But the folks that are able to test, start small and test and iterate, test and iterate, they're able to move much more quickly and then save time and money really along the way. So work to avoid that perfection. I have a hard time with that one, by the way. All right, number 8, make sure you define what you do not do in the market. I've seen several folks get in trouble when they overpromise and underdeliver. This really goes for any business, but especially in a startup, you don't have time or the money, or they call it runway in the startup world, to get off the rails. So make sure you just quickly communicate, hey, this is what we do not do. This is where we're staying focused, and everyone understands. They greatly appreciate that you're sharing what you won't be doing. All right. There are many resources available. Our state, our city, our federal government, all folks are definitely supportive of startups and small businesses. Many resources available. You just have to ask. Tej mentioned Adrienne Greenwald. She's an excellent place to start. They're very supportive, either formally or informally, and there's money available too. So not just on the advice side, but there's actually capital available from all of those resources. So get to know them well. Iowa Economic Development Authority has excellent resources as well. Again, formally and informally, can help guide folks along the way. All right, number 10, take full ownership. This is the good and the bad. If there's a win, celebrate it. If there's a mistake or a failure, own it. This is a great way to learn, to grow, and also show folks that you are fully engaged in the business and you're going to own the mistake and move on, or celebrate the win and capitalize and go further. So these are my 10. I would also like to add that entrepreneurship is growing rapidly as well. So these apply to entrepreneurs. Most companies are looking for entrepreneur-minded folks as their businesses age out. They're looking for startups within their business. So, if one thing I've learned from all 10 of these, they apply to all types of business, every business, small to large. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. I think I'm near time here. So thank you again, Catherine, for the opportunity. I'm going to sit back and view myself as a panelist now. So thank you all.
This is great, Hank. Thank you so much. And I love what you just mentioned. That is so true. And even our chamber team, we've reinvented so many things that we've done, especially in the year 2020 because of the pandemic. So we had to look at these things as well and figure out what we are going to do, what we're not going to do, and leverage, chamber members to help us along the way. So yeah, I love this so much. And it sounds like, leveraging your C-suite. I know Ray Meister at Security National Bank could be one of those people, right, that could help you and help you with your finances. And Ray is waving. And yeah, so absolutely. It's, lean on those experts, lean on those folks. And I see a theme here too. There's a lot of common themes, but Tej also mentioned it too. What are you not going to do? Define that so that you are focused and be realistic about that. So, and the growth mindset, I love that, Hank. Take the advice and be open-minded, be growth mindset, and that's critical to what we all do. in our everyday lives. So very, very cool. Thank you, Hank. Really appreciate your time. I know how busy everybody is here today. So, okay, we're so excited. So our next panelist, 10 tips to jumpstart your business, is Jeff Reed. And I love his title. He's the head problem solver at BizLab Solutions. So thank you, Jeff.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to share my screen as well, like Hank did. So hopefully everyone's seeing that right now. Well, yeah, so thank you. So BizLab, we solve problems. We design solutions, and we use a really innovative process to do it. So whether it's around strategy, brand, marketing, it could be anything that involves customer engagement. It's truly about designing things, and we take an approach that's all through the human lens. So we have fun with what we do. We get to interact with people on a lot of fun levels, but ultimately for us, it's about adoption and really building solutions that help people build capabilities inside of their company to continue to move forward. So I'm extremely excited to talk about some of these things. I guess the curse of going third is there may be some redundancy. So since Hank and Tej knocked it out of the park already, bear with me if there is redundancy, but with that, we'll dig in. So the first thing that we like to talk about is creating a solid foundation. And so to us, that's really, and Tej alluded to it, having a plan, having a strategy, truly what's the plan of attack? What's gonna happen when you start this business? And a lot of times when we talk to new and emerging businesses, creating a business plan is like a hassle, or it's a task they have to complete. But we really work on changing that mindset around the business plan isn't necessarily for anyone else, but it's for yourself. And yes, it does help a banker understand your business, and it does help get funding, and it does help in a lot of different areas, but it's really for yourself. It's taking the time to walk through scenarios. How are you gonna hire an employee? What do you expect for growth? What is your best customer? How are you going to market to them? A lot of times when people jump in without that plan, and as Tej had alluded to, it really can create a lot of bottlenecks or problems early on in the business, because with a plan, you're able to at least navigate on autopilot, right? Yes, you can pivot to things, but the core of who you are and what you've designed is at least there. So it's really important to create a solid foundation. Next, it's all about the community. I think both before me and I'm sure after me, we'll all talk about the power of community. If there's something that stands above the rest, it is truly this. There is a professional community. It is a CPA, an attorney, a banker, your insurance person. But while those are great on the professional lens, having that community where you can fail forward, give feedback, be vulnerable, and get good advice. And I would agree with what both Hank and Tej said. Your parents, your friends, even your spouse, they're often not great sources of feedback, because they don't want to, deep down, they don't want to hurt your feelings. So really finding, and I love what Tej said, a voice of conscience, something that you can really bounce an idea off, but get good feedback on, is so important. A lot of times when people create a business or they have a product, it's their baby. And when they receive feedback, no one wants to hear that their baby's ugly, but sometimes it may need to change. And so being open to that feedback, but finding that right community is extremely important. And along with the mentorship piece, it's extremely important to be seeking mentors that can help you in specific verticals or areas of your business. But along the way, actually mentoring people. Both sides are equally important to us, and we try and focus on, with companies we work with, on both, because what you can learn from someone who's done it is great, but what the curiosity that comes out of people who have never done it, they ask questions that spark ideas that you never would have thought of. So community is extremely important. This one is be present, not perfect. So a lot of times when people start a business or they're growing through a business, they seek for perfection. So again, having the ability to fail forward within your organization or your company, or whatever you're going to start, is extremely important. Oftentimes, this is a roadblock to starting things. This is something where people get so fixated, and they can be small things, right? You hear a lot about social media. just making a social media post sometimes will intersect a company. And that's one of the hardest things for them because they're so worried about getting it right. Well, if you at least start, you can learn from it. And once you continue to learn, you're going to perfect it over time or get closer to perfection, but don't ever aim for perfection to begin with. Because at the end of the day, you may be aiming for perfection for a solution that isn't even the right answer. So allow yourself to just be present to start and gain feedback. Everything starts with the customer. So for us, this can be both internal and external. So your employees, you know, they are a customer of yours, you're serving them, but also externally. Your customers are really what drive your product, service, or experience that you're looking to create. Their feedback is completely, I would say, the most valuable thing that you can ask for. And it's free at the end of the day, right? So it's hard, and I'm sure we all have those friends or business owners where they get, you know, maybe a bad review or I don't know, something, and they discredit it, right? We really take the approach of leaning into those and understanding what insights we can gain. And maybe we are off on something, or maybe we need to calibrate something, but everything starts with the customer. This is one way to really help de-risk the risk-taking journey of starting a business, right? Because it is a risk. But if you can ask all your customers all these questions to get it closer to being right from the beginning, that's extremely important to do. So the customer is very important in our eyes. Maintaining focus. So this often is something that's tough to do. I struggle with it a lot. I know probably most entrepreneurs struggle with it. But staying focused on tasks at hand. A lot of times it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like, okay, I got to send in, I got to renew my insurance. I got a customer over here I need to deal with. We're developing a new product. I need to get the financials done. But being able to focus on the right things at the right time that truly add value to your organization or what you're building is very important. This is truly what sets apart good entrepreneurs from great ones. The great ones are ones who can say, you know what? I do want to work on this, but it's not the most important thing right now. So I'm going to work on this because it adds a lot more strategic value to what we're building today. Stay modest. We have interacted, and I'm sure we've all maybe been around people where they start to strike success. And with that, then things can get a little bit out of control, right? They can begin to spend, or they can begin to start, I guess, operating in a different way than what got them there. So it's extremely important to stay modest, stay humble and true to the roots that got you to where you're at. Understand those real basic pillars of what built your company. And as you strive to be great, don't be something you're not. So that's extremely important to do, because people will think, and much like Hank alluded to, that they can do all these other things, but really understand what you're not and what you are as you continue to grow. This is a big one. Invest in your company culture. And I think Tej alluded to it on the benefits side, but culture is everything. And, you know, it is fun to have the caterators and the ping pong tables and, you know, cool furniture. And yeah, well, that's a part of it. Investing in your culture to us is really taking time to have vulnerable conversations with your team. Understand what they need, where they're at. And really, investment comes in many forms. We're high on investment of time. Obviously, that can't scale as you grow bigger and bigger and bigger, but really making sure that your culture is all about investing time in one another, not just dollars. You know, that does motivate some people, but at the end of the day, a lot of people like to be told they did a great job, or a lot of people like to have, you know, maybe a difficult conversation where they disagreed with you and didn't know it was okay to fail within your organization, or didn't know it was okay to disagree. So investing in your culture is extremely important. This is big. Probably the second thing that I struggle with the most. Fire yourself from the little things. I'm sure we've all had that moment where we said, well, I'll just do it, no matter what role you've had. And if you have that mentality as you build a business, it doesn't end up very well, because then you think you'll just do everything. And being able to fire yourself from the little things, and at the end of the day, have someone help is, I can't tell you how much that's allowed our business to grow. It's not fun to necessarily take on overhead. It's not fun to then have all the pieces that go with it, the benefits and the management. But firing yourself from the little things allows you to really focus on what you do that got you there. Most businesses tend to start because someone's really good at making something or doing something. And because they're so great at that, they're forced to run a business. And so when that happens, they tend to be a doer, and changing that mindset of doing to helping have kind of these strategic dials on the things that you know you should do versus the things you should delegate is very important. Amplifying your core strengths. So again, I'll go back to, and kind of what Hank had alluded to, really understand what you're good at. When you interact with someone that does it all, right? They don't have as strong of a value as someone who's really great at making one thing or a couple things. You know, that's maybe from a larger spectrum. We see Apple as a company like that, right? They don't make TVs, they don't make a bunch of other electronics, they make a couple things and they do it really well. Now, I'm an Apple person, sorry if anyone doesn't like Apple, but they make really good products in a specific niche and they focus on it. All they continue to do though is build on those strengths of what got them there. And they're a powerhouse. A lot of times when you see companies that do everything or want to have all the products, much like maybe a Radio Shack, right? Where they've got every nut and bolt for an electronic and they're just spread out because they want to be it all. Well, those ones don't succeed. They fall by the wayside because they're not focused. So maybe amplifying your core strengths really lends itself to that focus piece. And then the last is invest in process management. So it's extremely important to know how you operate. So we always have kind of this fun game that we do with clients, but how do you not lose an employee if an employee leaves, right? So yes, an employee could leave, but do you know what they do? Do you know how they do it? Do you know when they do it, right? Those are often a lot of the fears of losing an employee because they're like, oh my gosh, you know, Sarah over here, she used to do accounting and this and this and this, and I don't know when things happen. But taking the time to capture processes, understand how things happen, so that if that ever does happen, again, we're trying to de-risk the risk-taking of starting a business. So process management is extremely important to us. I think it lends itself to being able to scale. That way, if you hire someone, you know how a process is done, but it also allows you to find efficiencies within your business. So those are my 10 tips. A lot of it echoes what Tej and Hank said, but I can't stress enough, probably at the top of all of it is a community. Even forums like this, just being vulnerable and having moments where you can learn, extremely important. So with that, thank you.
I love that, Hank. Jeff, sorry. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much for this amazing insight. And so when you say process management, is there any software out there, Jeff, that you recommend or particular programs that you think are really good for businesses to look into for that?
So mine is a non-electronic solution and ours is just conversations. I know that doesn't lend itself to everyone who's techie, but truly taking time, and I think this goes to investing in your culture, but taking time to have the conversations is extremely important. And it sounds like common sense, right? You're talking to people and you're understanding what they do. But at the end of the day, I can't tell you how many people we've worked with or organizations I've been a part of, and I'm assuming a lot of people here have been a part of it, where two people do the same job completely different because no one's talking about how they operate. And again, building that dashboard of those dials that you can turn left and right or make tweaks on, adds a ton of value to you as a leader in an organization. And just capturing those processes. And yes, they may be paper, and then you can eventually put them into, project management software like a Monday or an Asana, or, there are things out there that we see people use, but starting off with the conversations is key.
Yeah, thank you. That's super, super great advice. Appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you for all of your insights. Boy, this is amazing. Oh my gosh, so much great information. So I am so excited to introduce to you Kelly Sharp. And Kelly has been a West Des Moines Chamber champion and board member for years. She is a serial entrepreneur, and she's probably starting a new business as we speak. I don't know, Kelly, maybe you make big announcements for us this morning, but so excited to learn from you, Kelly. So take it away, Kelly Sharp.
Well, good morning, everyone. Being the last person, I have a lot that ties in with what everyone else says. But just a tiny background on me. I've been an entrepreneur for myself. I've been an entrepreneur for companies that I've worked for. Some were successful, some were not. Some we took over from other companies. My other side of my background is in marketing. So my points kind of go to marketing, and you might be in the middle of your business, getting ready to sell your business, something like that. And again, no particular order. I think the number one thing for me that has helped the businesses that I've operated, whether it's my own or others, is being involved in the community and getting to know people. And it isn't that it's that give first. It isn't that I want to get business from you. It's, I want to understand you. I want to understand my community. I want to know you and work with you. So if there is a chance, we're on a one-on-one basis, and I can call you up and go, hey, Catherine, I heard you need help with this. This is who can help you, or this is how I can help you. But in my 30 years of business, I've had people from organization to organization that I've gone to that have helped me along the way. And we've done business for 30 years, which I find amazing in this community. It's great. So to me, number one tip, and I told my kids from the time they were young, you got to get to know people, and not on a business level, on a personal level, because you do business with who you like or who you trust. So that's kind of my number one. The other thing is on a marketing side is social media right now. It is a very affordable way for small business owners to get the word out. We're on a more level playing field as a small business because we have social media, whether it's TikTok or Facebook or YouTube, but people like to see faces. Again, it's that relationship building. So pandemic hit, I did videos. I don't like being on videos. I don't like being, seen, but people wanted to know who owns that company. So we did some videos and they were fun. And I will tell you, they got more reaction than any simple little post with a picture on it. So again, letting people get to know who you are, what your business is, what your business character is. And again, $20 to do a Facebook thing that you can send out to 2,000 people is great. The other thing, and I have known this for a long time, I know it in my personal life and professional, but very much so in COVID, really struck a chord with everyone, is cash is king. Cash is king. If you don't have money set aside for your business and something happens like COVID and you have to shut down, it's a problem. And you're going to be much quicker to close. So making sure that you understand, okay, when COVID hit for my business, I immediately called my banker. I said, look, here's my problems. I have a lease to pay. I have a loan to pay. I have this to pay. What can you do to help me? And we figured it out. Had I not had a good relationship with the banker, had I not understood day one, I better figure out how I'm going to pay my bills or how I'm going to keep my employees hired, then it would have been even worse than it already was trying to get through that. So understanding you have to have money. Doesn't matter what the balance sheet says. Doesn't matter on my P&L, it says I made $100,000 this year. If I don't have any money in the bank, you're stopped. So making sure, again, that kind of goes along with my next one is, make sure you have a relationship with your banker. I've done banking with my banker for 30 years. So, I send in my P&L every year. I have him look at my balance sheet. So when I call him and talk to him, he knows me. The other thing, and I do this personally and professionally, have done it, since I started working for Hubble years and years ago, because they were really big on it, is setting goals. Set 1, 5, and 10-year goals. Very simple, but they have to be measurable. Don't just say, I want to own a business someday. Okay, I want to own a business in 3 years or whatever. So you need to be able to then each year go back and say, did I do this? Did I not? I had a big goal when I was young because I wasn't making any money. I said, I want to make, $100,000. That is my goal. That's what I want to make. And by God, eventually that happened because I kept saying, this is where I'm going. I know where my road is going. I may not know all the details, but I know what I want to do. And you should do it for your personal life too. Shouldn't just be a business thing. Should be business and personal. And every year go look at them because that's important to know where you want to go or you're not going to get there. Do a 360 review of your organization. Again, whether you're just starting up, whether you're in the middle, or whether you're getting ready to sell your business. What is working? What's not working? Are we, as everybody talked about a lot, are we in too many little things that's not core to our business? Understanding, where, again, it's like the goals. Where does your business want to go? When I bought Heart of Iowa, that was the first thing that I did. I sat down with the employees that I didn't really know, and I sat down with someone that helped lead the process, and we went through a whole thing. What is this company? What do people think of it? Where do we want it to go? What do we want to stand for? And again, that was our roadmap the entire 10 years that I owned the business. And again, just making sure, what is your brand? Because it's so easy, and I had to constantly stop myself. It's so easy to go, oh my gosh, I should do a cookbook for Heart of Iowa. Okay, how long is that going to take you? Are you going to make any money? Wouldn't it be better just to go do this? So you got to stay focused on what's important and where are you going to make money at doing it too. I'm down to 6, so I haven't counted out my things for you. Don't start a business just because you love making coffee or candies or donuts. I understand we all want the passion for our businesses, but just because it's your hobby and you think it's fun, it's sometimes not fun when you're working 60 to 80 hours a week. When I opened Vino 209 3 years ago, it wasn't, yes, I love wine. I love to drink wine, but it wasn't because I had a necessary, oh my gosh, it is my ultimate goal to always open a wine bar. It was a need in the market. It was something that I felt would benefit everyone. I thought it benefited my building that I was in and the community. But I had a passion for running a business. It wasn't necessarily that passion was, oh my gosh, I want to have a wine bar in my life. It was really more about finding that need that was in the community and the niche for my business. Number 7, and again, I don't know that a lot of people do this or not, but because I had opened and closed so many different businesses, when I bought Heart of Iowa, I looked at my range because I was, middle-aged by then. So I looked at it and said, okay, I'm buying this business. And when I looked at how am I, if I want to retire in 15 years, how am I going to divest myself of it? How am I going to sell it? So rather than waiting until I'm 5 years out to decide how I want to sell it, right at the beginning, I looked at it and said, okay, I think I want to sell this in 10 to 15 years. I want it to go to someone that works here or another, a key employee. So as I built my business and brought people on as employees, I looked at that and said, okay, are you the future of the business that I then want to sell? But it made it much easier the closer I got to selling it, because the whole entire time, again, as I go back and I make decisions, what do we want to sell? What are we hiring people for? How are we going to grow? That all tied back into, at the end result is, we all want to sell our businesses and retire sometime. So if you look at it early, or if you're in the middle stages, where should this go? That helps you with your business planning and your roadmap. Know who your competitors are. That seems commonplace. Who's my competitor? Okay, maybe it's Chocolate Storybook, maybe it's Beaverdale Confections. Who is my competitor? But a lot of times we get so focused on worrying about them that we're competing against them instead of trying to grow our business and monitor our business and figure out what we do best. Some of my staff used to say, oh my gosh, did you know so-and-so's carrying the same product that we carry? What are we going to do? Well, we're going to do what we do best. We're going to take care of our customers. We're going to have a great experience when you come into our store. We're going to have good employees. Yeah, that's great. That's good to know what they're doing, but I'm not going to spend all day worrying about what they're doing. I'm going to worry about what I'm doing for my business. And I do think a lot of, especially small entrepreneurs, get really worried about it. Then all of a sudden they start changing their business plan and going, oh, well, we should start doing this over here now too, because I'm afraid we won't make enough money if Susie down the street is selling our same product. If you're doing a good job, if you're giving a fair value, a good experience, your customers are going to stay with you. Let's see. And that kind of tied into my 9. And then kind of my last one, I don't know if I'm on 10 or what, but hire people that are not like you. It's a tendency for us to all want to hire because it's easier to get along. I want to hire someone who has the same type of personality as me, or, you know, enjoys the same things I do. But you need people that are not like you, that will call you on the carpet and say, Kelly, no, that's a stupid idea. We're not doing that. Or more importantly, they have a skill set you don't have. I can't draw to save my life, but, you know, do I have a good graphic artist that I work with that was in one of my businesses? Absolutely. Do I have someone that can write way better than me? Yes. Am I intimidated? Absolutely not. Because you want to hire people better than you, even smarter than you. I always say, hire someone smarter than me, because all they can do is make your company better and make you look better. So that's kind of my top 10. I'm pretty fast when I get chatting, so.
Kelly, amazing. I love all of your tips. You have been there, done that. You know, like you said, you've started so many businesses and closed so many businesses. And honestly, we are so sad that Vino 209 is no longer in Valley Junction. It really raised up our community. It raised up that whole Valley Junction area in West Des Moines. And but it sounds like you're doing great work with Heart of Iowa and some other things. So just really appreciate you and appreciate all these amazing thoughts. And the need in the market, what is your brand? Cash is king, that's for sure. So thank you so much, Kelly. Just really want to thank everybody again. We're going to end right on time. This is amazing. Thank you to Kelly, Tej, Hank, Jeff. Thank you to Ray Meister and supporting our community right now, especially, and with those loan options, the PPP and the cash. So really appreciate it, everybody. So lean on your fellow chamber family to help as well. We have chamber members that are involved in all of these facets of starting a business, maintaining a great, robust business, and even your liquidity event, what Kelly mentioned, you know, how do you cash out of your business when you're ready to retire? So lean on our chamber members. We have at the top of our website a list of our chamber members, so do lean on them. A little quick note, our Citizen of the Year applications, nominate somebody for Citizen of the Year in West Des Moines. Those are due April 1st, and our Emerging Citizen of the Year. This is a huge event that we're going to be producing in June. So do think of people in West Des Moines that have made a difference that you want to nominate for Citizen of the Year. We really encourage that. So everybody, check out our upcoming events, including, of course, the Black and Brown Business Summit. And we wish everybody a safe and grateful and Give First week. Give First hashtag. So take care, everybody.
Thank you, Catherine. Great job.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, everybody.